I want to thank you once again for joining Las Vegas Hospitality Evolution. And today we have a wonderful treat that we're going to talk to some industry experts in the entertainment field. And we're going to get more than just the art form. We're going to talk about the science and the evolution of entertainment here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and how we have moved. I'm going to have my co-host to introduce our illustrious guest, Mr. Lewis. And let me just say, Mr. Lewis is a producer of this show. Normally, it's hard. No, not too hard to get him out here on set. But I wanted him here on set because I know that the two gentlemen, I'm a big fan of both of them, but I know that they're personal friends of our producer.
Want to introduce Bubba Knight, the original Pip number one.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
That's right.
we go way back, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And of course, Earl Turner, who's been a staple in Las Vegas for a long time.
Absolutely.
And if you've been in Vegas more than one or two times, you've heard the name Earl Turner all across the valley. So it's really exciting to be able to talk to them about how Las Vegas has evolved from the early days. You know, I know Bubba, knows the Moulin Rouge story, and then all of the touring that they've done with Gladys Knight and the Pips, and then how Vegas finally opened up, and we kind of went from the back door to being able to get in the front door.
Right. Yes.
So we want to cover. Yeah, we want to cover all of that, and how it's come up today that now we're headliners and staples in Las Vegas, not just guesting, but headliners, and have residencies and standing ovations and full houses and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I want to share. I want to start off by asking both of you gentlemen this question. When you do a compare and contrast of entertaining in Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, how do you compare that to a venue somewhere else in America, another venue that you like performing? And then lastly, how do you compare Las Vegas to an international venue that you gentlemen have gone and performed in?
Actually, I don't look at it like different places. I look at it like we give whatever we're going to give, all that we have to give wherever we are.
All right.
International, local, whether it's in Las Vegas, whether it's in England, Australia, wherever it is. We just give what we have inside of us, our God-gifted talents. We give that out. So the venue kind of doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the venue is, because you do theaters in the round, you do proscenium stages, and all of those kinds of things. So you bring you to wherever you are, and you try to give to the people whatever you have to give your God-given talents.
Okay, and we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, I think that what Bubba's absolutely saying is right. Sammy Davis, who you knew personally, Sammy once said that not everybody's going to like what you do, but don't let them leave feeling like you didn't work hard. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing is to go out there and leave it all on the stage and hope that everyone gets out of it, the enjoyment and satisfaction that you did while doing it. I think that for Bubba, who is, a Grammy-winning artist, and his group, probably a little bit different for me because I'm sort of a Las Vegas bred entertainer. In other words, I'm one of those people who does not necessarily have hit records. So I read the audience a little bit differently because people don't necessarily have the name recognition or the song recognition that someone like Gladys Knight and the Pips or the Pips would have. So when I come out, The one thing that I do know about Las Vegas audiences is they have a short attention span because they're tourists.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So they're in and out. You know, that's what it's all about. We specialize in hospitality. So consequently, it's all about how many tables can you turn over, how many people can you get back out on the casino floor. So I know that when I go out on stage, they say you got to start like you're going to finish.
Yeah,
you know, you got to go out hard. You got to go out, hit them hard, get their attention, keep their attention, and then let them go.
Yes.
We know a champion, and let's just put it out there.
Okay.
You two are athletes. You have to be in shape to do what you do. I've seen your show, and I've sat with some guys, and I say, man, that brother's in shape, man. And he's performing,
Right.
and he's on key. You know, because
Right.
you know, all of these things that ingratiate your audience. So I know that you're athletes, and I know that you have to. When we talk about a science, we're talking about mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
So many people have these careers. They don't put a lot of spirit into it. They don't put a lot of, they got to show up for work. But your job is a gift.
When I met Bubba,
I take my. Go ahead.
he told me he was a vegetarian.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know kind of like how old Bubba is, and I'm thinking to myself, black people hadn't really heard of vegetarians back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So as you have to tell them that story about how you became a vegetarian.
Yeah. We would play the Apollo Theater, and we would do like 4 and 5 shows. You know,
A day.
Hey,
Oh, come on, man.
okay,
Come on, back off, Dr. Wright. Oh, look out now.
you in shape.
Hey, wait a minute. Yep.
Not with you, behind.
Behind.
Yeah, we did run the marathon. But check this out. At the Apollo Theater, you do 4 and 5 shows. Our dressing room, the Pips dressing room, was on the top floor. So you got to go up the steps, down the steps, no elevator. Come on. This was before they put the elevator in the Apollo Theater. All right? So you're up and down and up and down. And the thing of it is that we got accustomed to doing that. When I would go on stage, and after the first song, this is how I became a vegetarian, like Earl was talking about, right?
Right.
Man, after the first 2 or 3 songs, I'm out of breath and I'm huffing and puffing and looking like it's straining me to do this show. So I'm going like, one day I didn't eat the prime rib and the steaks and the fish and all of that stuff, and I felt a whole lot better for the next show. And I'm going like, whoa, I found something about me that I didn't know.
Right.
So I stopped eating the steak, I stopped eating the prime rib, and eventually stopped eating seafood and fish and stuff like that. And my energy just blew up, man.
And he still got it. He still got that in.
Vegetarian.
And I blew up.
You got your protein from the dark green vegetables.
All vegetables.
Yes.
I just do vegetables until people came along like Morning Star and Beyond Meat.
Right. Exactly.
now.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
The plant-based
Yeah,
meat.
plant-based.
Yes.
And that, before then, I was strictly vegetarian.
So you've been a
man.
vegetarian for what?
Oh my God! What the Apollo
50
Theater? That
years,
was
yes,
vegetarian.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm
long-
what I'm going on.
Yeah.
He's not
Right.
60 years old.
Right. Not yet.
No. I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating the big 8-0 in September the 4th.
God bless you.
That's Gladys Knight and Pip's 70th anniversary, and it's my 8-0.
Wow.
Because I started when I was 10.
Okay. And I do not believe that there are very many entertainers that can stand on stage beside this guy, seriously, and keep up with him energy-wise still. Still. His energy is just remarkable.
And or you.
Thank you, bro.
And or you.
Well, we work at it. We work at it. Yeah.
You made a point
work at
earlier.
it. Uh-huh.
You made a point earlier that struck me because I hadn't thought about it at the time. But I saw Sammy years ago, and I had met him personally. But we saw a show. You know, it was one of those entertainers you have to in your lifetime check off your bucket list.
Right.
But as you talked about hitting the stage and capturing them, and they can read when you're giving your all.
That's right.
And conversely, you also know you're giving your all. He sang a song, and it was later in his career, but he missed a note, couldn't hit it. It was a high note. And he stopped. And he said, no, go back. And he went back and redid it and hit the note. He says, I'm not going to shortchange you.
Right.
Okay?
Good.
If I don't hit that note,
Right.
he said, it's not about ego. He says, I'm going to hit it. And he took it back, sang the song, hit that note, said, now let's go on.
Yeah,
And there's,
that's Sammy.
there's a certain
That was Sammy.
There's a realness to that, to being a performer that people appreciate when they know that you're a human being just like they are.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, you're blessed to be able to do what we do. Absolutely. And so many people wish they could do what we do. But when you actually show the real side of what it is that we do, and, you know, and in some cases, we don't get it right every time, you know?
But it made it human.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and you really connected with him on a personal level because he broke out of the character, if you will, of the song to be a real person and talk to the audience.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
convey that. And the audience, you get a different feel and connection after that. And you start really rooting and, you know, feel a lot differently about the rest of that performance.
That's the thing I love about my brother Earl, because he can connect that way.
Yeah.
Earl can talk to a doorknob and make that doorknob applaud.
Yeah.
Now, this brother, and one of the other things that I like about Earl is that, like he was saying in the beginning, that he doesn't have hit records like Gladys Knight and the Pips had, and with the Grammys and things like that. Now, that could be a plus and a negative, because you do a show and don't do a song that the majority of that audience want to hear, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because you didn't give them
Right.
what Earl was saying and what you were saying about Sammy. You didn't give them what they paid for that ticket to get. You know, so you have to be very careful. And that's one thing that I did with my sister Gladys Knight and the Pips. One thing I did, Gladys was known for her performing the songs that people heard on the radio. That voice. All right? Okay, we did the backgrounds and we had a special sound, a harmony and that type of thing. But I think you mentioned to me before, how do you please that audience that the generations are changing?
Right.
So what I thought about was, okay, I'm going to do some Bruno Mars in this show. Since Bruno is hot right now,
That's right.
Gladys could still do Neither One of Us. I heard it through the grapevine and all those kinds of songs. And we could still capture that audience with me doing like songs like Happy
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
Bruno Mars and Uptown Funk and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I was figuring we could stay current
Yeah.
and relevant
Yeah.
with new audiences that was coming in. So and Earl is great at that. See, he didn't have a hit record, but he could grab everybody's stuff. He could sing,
Yeah.
he
Oh,
could
yeah.
do everybody's stuff and
right.
get away with it
Right.
because they aren't expecting Earl to sing. What was
Right.
that hit song?
Oh, I don't have one.
Earl,
I missed that part of the business. I missed that part.
you are so captivating. I
Yeah,
can tell you this as a fan.
Uh-huh.
I saw you, and I told you how I got a chance to see you. I was really lucky. I saw him like 10 performances in a row. And each
Really?
performance,
yep,
even if you sung the same song, you sung it different.
that's right.
It just came out. So I'm gonna ask you this: for every audience that you gentlemen go, and I want to start with you. With every audience that you perform, do you call audibles at the line of scrimmage?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. If you can, yeah. If you can, you do. Oh, certainly. You can sense if you're headed in the right direction, or if a song doesn't necessarily work. I mean, you try not to have that happen,
Right.
but you're not going to always get it right 100% of the time. So yeah, absolutely. Particularly at the times that you were seeing me when I was performing in Las Vegas on a steady basis, and I had a steady group of musicians that worked with me. I could blink or snap my fingers, and they'd know exactly what I was going to do. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
How
And
about
so
you? Have you ever gone out on stage. You saw. Now I'm using a football analogy.
Right.
Okay. You saw they about to blitz you, and you say, nah, if I'm gonna get this ball off into the hit zone, a great performance. I'm gonna do this, and you know, sometimes when you talk about you know, football, when they do the audible, they might tap the center on the behind, or the split end might be like this with his helmet. You know, they know that defensive back. How do you deal with that with different audiences that may have, especially coming off of this lockdown we've been in? People don't know how to act now. You know, how do you deal with that?
We were very. It was very difficult for Gladys Knight and the Pips to call it audible. We had a set list because most of the time we had an orchestra or a symphony or those kind of people that was behind us, and we were choreographed to certain numbers,
Right.
and certain cues and things like that. Well, Earl has freedom,
Right.
and Earl is a solo artist. I'm a doo-wopper.
Right.
Right.
Right. There's a difference when there's an entire ensemble that everybody has to move the same way at the same time.
Yeah.
No, musically, it's challenging. Musically, it's
And
challenging.
that's what I love about this brother, because he can audible all. He can audible all.
Man, I've seen him.
See, the interesting thing too, though, is that the way their show would be programmed or laid out, they knew what their opener was, and then they did the things between going to their closer. So the whole show evolved to take you on a journey, you know, to where you knew what their closing number was going to be, or you didn't know. They knew what their closing number was going to be. In my instance, what I have to do is I sort of have to kind of learn by trial and error. Simple nuance, simple placement of a song. I remember recently, I was working on a cruise ship, headlining on a cruise ship, and I came out on a Lionel Richie song that was high energy, and I decided I was going to throw this Prince song right behind it. Well,
You had to take it off, didn't you?
wait. But here's the thing. The audience was ready for the Lionel Richie. They weren't ready for the Prince. So I did the Prince song, and now the audience doesn't know who I am per se, but I did the Prince song, and I could feel and I could sense they were not ready for that particular song in that particular place in the show.
Yeah.
So oftentimes it's placement. Oftentimes it's timing. You know, it's like using, you know, a sports analogy. If you're going to call a play, you know, we're gonna do these first 3 plays, and you go out and you realize, oh, I need to change direction. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Actually, you learn a lot by trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, what goes where, what works best right here.
Yeah.
And once you get that formula or that format for your performance, then you can pretty much work material in according to that. So you have what I call a skeleton. This is my skeleton show, and this is how it goes here and here and here and here, and then you can interchange numbers. But you're still you're still subject to blow it at any given time. You can blow it at any given time.
One of the things that we did when we were playing, we started off playing a lot of clubs that just catered to African American people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, when we start growing and started trying to get the masses
Crossover.
Yeah.
Our main one of the things that motivated me in show business was that we played some places down south when we were on the Henry Wynn's Supersonic Attraction Tour.
Call it the Chitlin Circuit.
Yeah. Just brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah.
They would come out. Jagger Wilson, Sam Cooke, all that group. Jerry Butler, Chuck Jackson, that group, D. Clark, all of these performers, James Brown. We would cater to an African American market. But we played a place in, I think it was Mississippi, where we played in the basement to the brothers and sisters. After the show, the white promoter, took us upstairs to the theater seats to play for the white audience. I'm going like, you know what? I want to have the kind of music that's going to play for everybody.
Transcend.
Yep.
Culture.
Black,
Age.
white, yellow, orange. I want our music to play. And that was one of the motivations that kept me doing that. And that one, I'll never forget that. And it sort of hurt me so bad because the brothers and sisters, it was a dance.
Yeah.
And they were all around the stage. We performed on the floor. And I got to give you this little tidbit. D. Clark was on the show. Hey, little girl with the high school smell. Gee, I'd like to know you better. Right? And so we had gone on because we were opening the show. We didn't have any records. Okay. And when D. Clark came off the stage, our brothers and sisters loved D. Clark so much, them sisters got a hold of him and ripped his pants off. Come on, man. D. Clark came back off down here, it was a skirt. and don't forget, and he had on a silver mohair looking suit. And he came running over there to the dressing room and said, man, they tore me up. and that was and upstairs, the theater seats, all the white audience was so nice and pretty. Now, that taught me too that we're going to have music that's going to cater to both. And that's when we incorporated, and I'm moving ahead now, that's when we incorporated in our lineup. You hear my sister sing The Way We Were, the Barbra Streisand number.
That's
right.
And you should tell them about how you did that. Recorded. Do you remember when she had a big hit with that song?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 That was me.
Yeah.
It was in a movie too, wasn't it? Wasn't it a soundtrack?
The Way We Were.
It was in a movie that Barbra Streisand was in.
Right.
But Gladys recorded it and had a big hit with it.
Yes.
But he secretly recorded it live.
Yeah, we covered Barbra Streisand. Well, Gladys covered Barbra Streisand with The Way We Were, right? Trying to remember the way we were. And we were playing all these white clubs and things like that that people were just going crazy about. Yeah. So I'm going like, we need to have this on tape. So we were moving records at the time. And so I talked to Art Cass and Neil Bogart and Cecil Holmes. And I said, hey, man, what do you think about recording, try to remember the way we were? They said, yeah, we can get her in the studio. I said, she ain't coming to the studio because she's against recording this song. She don't want to record it. So I said, okay, what are we going to? They brought a truck with a recording, with equipment and stuff in the truck and backed it up to the back of the stage where we were playing Pine Knob in Detroit. And they hooked the microphone up to the microphone that Gladys was singing on. And they recorded that sucker. And if you hear it on the album,
You wouldn't know the difference.
they recorded that.
did she-
bass
They
band.
recorded it live.
Yeah, but what did she say? What did she say afterwards?
She was pissed off at me.
Until they released it.
Yeah, when they released it.
Then she said, "You a genius, bro. You a genius."
Bro, but well, we had back and forth like
You were mentioning about people tearing off your clothes and stuff, and I've seen how the females react to you. Now we're in a different age now, where people will come up on stage and try to slap you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, now, how do you deal? How do you deal with that type of reaction?
Slap?
No, because or
Not well.
you know, I know, or women
Coming up on stage.
coming up on stage, because I've seen this at your show.
You know, it not. I don't
Do
necessarily
you have a
think
security person there?
No, not necessarily. You know, usually, and I think you'll agree with this too, we are so fortunate in that we usually see only the best side of people.
right. They didn't want to come and hug you, shake your
You know,
hand,
they want
get
to
a
come in.
autograph.
Right, exactly. You know, anything. I mean, if it's intrusive in a way it's intrusive in a loving way. You
Right.
know, if somebody comes up
Right.
on the stage or
Yeah.
whatever, you know, they want to hug you or they want to just show you how much they appreciate it. But that's because that's what the business that we're in. And music is about love, and it's about feeling good. So we're so blessed. I think about, you know, first responders and people like that, or police officers or security people, or, you know, people in businesses in careers to where oftentimes they're faced with what could be deemed the worst of human nature. And we, fortunately for us, man, we see the best in people
Right.
almost all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost all the time.
But you were a different
Now
kind of-
James Brown, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, but you had a different audience too, because I go back to the days of Motown
Yeah.
and Jackson 5, for example, when they were hot. Those girls were
Oh,
crazy.
Yes.
So you had to have a strategy because it wasn't they wanted to hurt him, but to your point in tearing clothes off, you know, they wanted to
A piece.
just wanted a piece.
They
of
want
it.
a
they were,
piece.
Right.
Listen, I was in traveling with them, as you know, and we were in Hawaii. And I understood and learned a lot about how you had to strategize getting on and getting off, more importantly.
Exactly.
And what Michael went through at his age, how frightening it was, because he had they had the strategy of next to the last song was "Never Can Say Goodbye." People thought that was the last song, and I had my recorder with me. I have it someplace on a little cassette, and he would go into that, and you could hear movement in the audience because they thought that was the last song. So they're starting
You're
to
getting
move.
close to
Oh.
it.
They get ready.
He'd finish that song, and the lights would go off. He'd come back on, and he'd stay and do another song. So they go, oh, okay, this concert's not over. So they calm down. And you get about 5 bars into that song, and it would go to the DAC. And I heard it on the mic. He said, "Here they come," and he dropped the mic. You hear the mic bounce, and we were off stage, right? And so we were all together to go back to the hotel, and we come in limousines, and so the horses and the police officers were around the limousines, which are still sitting there. So everyone thought they're going to come out getting the limos. What was it? This was at the Cow Palace. We go down the hallway, and there was a school bus behind doors. We dive into the school bus, and the school bus pulls out about 50 yards from where the limos were.
Right.
Well, the driver couldn't make a clean turn and had to back up, and they saw it. I had never seen anything like it. These girls ran towards the, but they were beating on the windows.
Yes.
And we had to get down, and I can understand his fear
Fear.
at his age because he got that all the time.
Absolutely.
They were beating. You
Absolutely.
just thought that the windows were going to break at any given time. And then, you know, the bus would go, you know, half a mile down. Limos would pull out then because, you know, girls left the car and meet up, and then you go on the hotel.
Exactly.
But it was just what you had to go through to do that and to be an entertainer.
Yes.
And people think it's glamorous, but at that age,
They don't see
and
that
during
side.
that time, they don't see that
They
side.
don't see that.
I want to ask this question, Earl. Your show is so high energy, man. I've seen you do the splits, all kind of stuff, man. How do you perform night to night with an injury? I know, like any athlete, you're gonna play whether you're hurt or not.
Right.
How do you perform? Do you don't do the splits that night? or
Right.
what?
Exactly. That's what I was like. It's like, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. So yeah, I mean, you learn to, you know, whatever it is. If you are injured in some sort of way and you can't do a particular thing during the performance, you just don't do it. You know, you just try to, you know, just avoid doing that. That's
Give 'em
all you
what they
can do.
want, but-
That's all you can do, really, because you learn that there's no such thing as Superman. You know, as you get
How many
older.
times have you two went out on stage, had a headache, you really didn't feel good, but you performed and it was almost like Michael Jordan when he had the flu. When he didn't feel good, he scored 63 points that time. You know, they before he's under the weather, man. Please, they bring it up a notch. How do you overcome being a human?
The passion of being an entertainer and the passion of doing what you're doing and performing to that audience. I remember when we were at the 40 Thieves in Bermuda. We played the 40 Thieves in Bermuda. and this is the first time this has ever happened to me, but I had a migraine headache, and it was so bad. We were playing that for a week, 7 days. Gandhi, that was his band. Anyway, that just popped back in my head. And the migraine headache was so bad that I would have to do the show, and they had a cart. They had a cart for me in the dressing room for me to lie down right before the show. And I would do the show. I'd go to the cart for a minute, and then I would go back to the hotel. And all the noise and light, I had to shut the windows down and just be quiet. And I did that for 7 days. Just to do that show.
And made it
So
through. And
made it through at the 40 Thieves.
Yeah.
I want to get back to what Harold was saying about Michael, about the fear factor. Man, my heart for Michael, I used to feel so sorry for him because he didn't have the kind of life, he didn't have the kind of freedom that I had. And I could go out and do things and, still be an entertainer and see people, but it wasn't the level that Mike had to go through. And the Jacksons, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them had to go through it.
Yeah.
And I remember when we played Central Park, we had a gig at Central Park. I think Diana had done it already. She did it in the rain or something.
Right. Oh yeah.
I saw that.
Concert.
Yeah, and we performed.
Extraordinary.
We performed in Central Park, and right after we came off, Frankie Crocker was the MC. Oh God,
Frankie Carter, the boss talk.
yeah, Frankie
Yeah.
Crocker.
DJ from New
This
York.
stuff is coming. Y'all got me going down memory lane.
That's good. That's
I haven't thought about it in ages.
that's-
Thought about it.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, we had done our show at Central Park, and like Harold was saying, the limo was waiting on us. So we ran and got in the limo, but the people at Central Park were so excited they wanted a piece of us. So they got around, just like what you were saying, Harold. They got around the limo, man, and they were rocking the limo. And all on the hood and the trunk and beating on the windows and all of that kind of stuff scared me to death because you're inside and you don't know what's gonna happen if they break through. So our limo driver had to go and bump some people to get us out of there, right? So I could relate to what you were saying about having a way in and a way out. And the same thing happened to us when we did Mount Morris Park. For that Summer of Soul that
Yes.
got the Oscar for.
Right.
Same thing happened, man. We were in the limo, and the people from the audience, they wanted a piece. So they would come and shake the limo, and we did the same thing. And that's scary.
Yeah.
And
Let me-
if you're not an entertainer and you've been in that position, I can't really tell you how it feels, but that's scary.
I
man.
want to ask both of you this: the size of the audience, does that put you in awe, or okay, say you're performing in front of thousands of people, opposed to something more intimate? Do you get nervous, or it's the same thing? How do you handle that?
I'm always nervous before I go out on stage.
Yeah.
Always. And
good.
and I exactly. Pros like this guy have said
good,
that's
bro.
good. It shows that you're human. I get and my nervousness shows up in an odd, curious way. My nervousness shows up in my hands being cold. So if you notice me during a show, I won't shake hands with people in the first couple of songs because my hands are freezing. I don't get butterflies. I don't, or anything like that. It's just a reality that, you got to go out here. I always got to say my stage prayer.
Oh, you
Come
got
on.
to.
Say the Lord's prayer,
Got you.
help me give the people what they've come to see and help me do my best to perform, to my best ability. But yeah, I'm always nervous.
Is that with a small and a large crowd, or
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh no, it doesn't
So,
matter.
so you're not in
I have
awe
my own
of
group.
thousands of people.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And I think that I think that oftentimes when a crowd is so large, you I don't know, kind of protect yourself in some sort of way to where you see it, but you don't see it.
Yeah.
You know, you're more
You
feeling
looking
than
past them.
anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you know what? The energy with a large crowd like that. I know we played the Greek Theater in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Greek. And our guest was Ray Charles, right? And man, as far as you could see up at the trees, boy, was people. And what happened to me was that it energized me because Pop Charlie Atkins used to always teach us that you got to please that person up in the balcony. You got to please, just like you pleasing the people that's sitting down front, you got to please those people up in the balcony that you can't see.
Yeah, and
So-
that's really, really important because a lot of times I've seen people underplay a room. In other words, you're supposed to play whatever venue you're in. You're supposed to play to the back wall.
Yeah, you
so
got
you come out and you open up like you're going to finish, but then you play to the farthest reaches of the room. When you just come out and you play to the immediate
people say,
proximity,
nah.
well, that's that's great for them. But what about the people in the rest of the room? So
Talking about energy. I'll take it back a little bit.
Okay.
'Cause you guys had the toughest audiences in the early days at the Apollo.
Oh,
Okay, so you,
Black men see this is the thing. See,
come on, Harold, you done hit it.
the Apollo got the reputation
Right.
of being the toughest audience in the world. The truth of the matter is, black audiences on the whole were tough. It didn't matter if they were at the Apollo. Come
Yeah.
on, y'all.
But they-
You could be at a club in Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
Those people were tough.
they
make
expected you to bring it. Yeah,
you know,
but the Apollo was known to
was
everyone
known.
else.
Yes,
I mean,
it's
you know,
to
to
everyone
everyone
else.
else, I should say. I mean, we knew it was tough.
You know.
So, and then you move from that, but talk about the competition amongst the Motown groups as you toured. Okay, about working who was going to close. And how you guys competed on working to that close, not the opening, because there was a competition there of who was going to close, and everybody tried to outdo the next day. Okay, now take that.
It makes you hear this. It makes you hear this.
that was good. That was good. One of the things that I liked about working with some of the Motown acts. Now, this is before we got to Motown. Okay, at the Apollo, we would help each other. Like Stevie would be on the show, and we would stand in the background and have them to put us a microphone back there. And if Stevie didn't have his background singers, we would sing backgrounds for Stevie's songs.
Yeah.
And that was the camaraderie
Right.
that we had. I don't know about the artists of today, these little young people,
Right.
because they will fight, do the whole shot,
right.
man. But we were like, what's gonna be the best for the show?
Right. Exactly.
Us opening, is that gonna be the best and you close? Or you open and I close?
Right.
What's gonna be the best for the show?
Exactly.
And that brought me to, Harold, you just brought up something that I saw when I was a little fella. I was out with Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke. All right? We were opening for Jackie and Sam and them. We were playing this club that it wasn't really a stage. They had boxing in this particular auditorium or wherever we were playing.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah. And they had a boxing ring. And they just took the ropes down. And that was the stage that we performed on in that particular city. I wish I had remembered where it was. But anyway, this is the deal. The stage that we performed on was a canvas for boxers and wrestlers and things like
So I
that.
had a little give in on the floor too.
It was canvas. So anyway, we had opened the show. We had gone out and do our thing. And Jackie and Sam and Jerry, all of these artists, they loved us because we were little kids. We were the kids. We were the Jacksons.
Right.
Yeah, look out for the look last night in the Pimps. Come on. Anyway, as we finished performing, I was going off stage because and Gladys had already gone, and I was a little behind. And as I was walking through, get back to the locker room, because that's where we were dressing, Sam and Jackie was in the hallway watching us to check us out. And as I got to them, they were arguing about who was going to open and who's gonna close. I heard Sam say, Jackie, I'm closing the show. I'm closing the show. And he had out You Send Me at that time, right? But Jackie Wilson had out Rick Petite and To Be Loved, all of that stuff, right? So as I was coming close to them, they started not talking so loud at each other. And I heard Sam say, Jackie, I'm closing the show. Mr. Wynn told me I'm closing. Jackie said, no, Sam, I'm closing the show. I'm closing the show. And it got heated. And as I was walking away, they got a little bit loud at each other. And so I heard Jackie say, okay, Sam, I'll close. I'll open. Say, you close. You close, Sam. And so Jackie said, Frazier, get my uniform. And so Frazier was his bodyguard and driver and all that. Frazier went and got Jackie's stuff. Jackie put his clothes on in the break. And then when the show opened back up, Jackie Wilson came out there. Just a kiss, just a smile, killing, all right? Killing. Went into To Be Loved, and Jackie had a kind of show where he could put the audience in there. He would lay on the side of the stage, man, and women would just come up and kiss Jackie all over. Oh my God, they would just kiss. I'm like, Jackie, you kissing all these? You don't know these people. You know, I'm standing. I'm a little fella. I'm watching all of this. I was looking at it, and so Jackie had killed, right? And then I stayed around. I didn't go to the hotel. I stayed around. I didn't get back on the bus. That's what it was. And Sam got ready to come on, and Sam went on and said, "Darling, you send me." I'm going like, and people were starting leaving and everything. I'm going like, oh my God, look at this.
He put pressure on it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And that was in that movie, One Night in Miami.
Yeah.
That was and from what I understand in the movie, Sam got the audience back by saying by singing that's the sound of the men
Chain gang.
working
Chain gang.
on the chain gang, and he had the audience, and this is how I learned about audience participation. He had the audience to go, hoo, ha,
Right.
right?
That's how you
And
got
he
it.
pulled them back. Sam pulled them back in with that kind of thing.
That sounds like an
but-
audible.
Yeah, it was.
That
sound like
audible.
So the first professional group that I came out with was a review, sort of like the Ike and Tina Turner review, and this was in the 70s. So we were so the way I learned this, because it's kind of it's a misnomer when you think someone's opening or closing the show. Like, for example, you know that big dust up between D.L. Hughley and Monique. You know, they were arguing about who was opening and closing the show. But the truth of the matter is when you're on, nobody really cares. That the audience doesn't care who's on first and who's on last.
Right.
They really don't care. All they want is for everyone to come on and do a great job. They don't care. You know, set me up for the next person. So I remember that we would work with the Shylights, and we would work with the Moments. We would work with the Detroit Emeralds. We were working with all these groups because we were a review. And we were a review out of Chicago. And your job was to go out there and fix it, perform in such a way that the next person coming up couldn't follow you.
Yeah.
That was your job.
Yeah.
It didn't make any difference if there were 7 acts and you were number 4. Go out there and fix it so that nobody can follow you. That was the whole thing. Go out there and do such a great job that the next act had to come on and bring it too.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
because
let's call that a
so when he talked about, you know, they're supporting each other, you know, like they did in the Motown reviews and what have you, that's what it was really all about. I mean, nobody was really jealous of anybody. Everybody wanted to just just kill it.
Right.
To close the show. That was the whole point.
And don't let your ego get in the way.
Right.
Because that's what closing was all about.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Being ego, your ego getting in the way, like you closing so you the star.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so
No.
You were more family then because you were all young, all coming up. But people don't realize how many times that you just talked about backup. where you'd be over there and they needed some backup, Smokey and the Temps. They might back anybody up, and you never knew it.
Come on.
Yeah.
So Earl, you would if that ever happened to you, you would whisper to somebody else, "I'm gonna do a Jackie Wilson on him."
Right.
I'm gonna do a Jackie Wilson.
Sometimes if somebody goes on and they on fire,
Yeah.
well, you don't come out and try to be fire. Try to sneak up under them a little bit. Come
Come
out
on,
really easy.
come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't. If somebody is really killed it up there, and I better try another
Another approach.
detour,
Right.
another approach.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
A little trick that Sammy Davis taught me in class. He called us in his dressing room. We were playing the Sands, okay? And Sammy called us in the dressing room, and he said, "I'm gonna teach y'all a little trick." He said, "If you get a rowdy audience and people are talking, when they used to have dinner shows,
Yeah,
and people,
yeah.
and they're eating and stuff like
Right.
that." So he said, if you get one of those kind of audience, what you do is you start talking like this.
Make them lean.
And make them
That's
lean in.
right.
And just-
That's exactly it.
And he said, before you know it, you'll have them. And once they start doing that, the people around them,
Be quiet, I can't hear him. Oh, okay. Okay.
Show business.
Sammy
It's a
Davis,
lot
man.
of
Like
show business is a lot of psychology.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of psychology, particularly for black entertainers. I
Oh,
know for
God.
me, I can walk out into a room and look at the people on this front row, and I can tell if somebody's upset. I can tell if somebody's sad. I can tell if someone's unhappy. I can tell if a guy is jealous.
oh,
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
have to deal with that.
You gotta, you gotta be able to pick up on. I walked out in 2021 on a cruise ship where everybody's supposed to be there, have a good time, and extended my hand and have somebody not shake my hand.
yeah. Yeah.
2021. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so there's a great deal of psychology that goes also into what we do, and being able to read an audience is very, very important. I remember working an audience where there were only the room holds about 1,600 people, and there were maybe 300, and so there were a lot of empty seats. And I remember this other entertainer saying to me, "How do you do that? How do you go out there and perform like you did when there's only a few people in the house?" And I said, "I never see an empty seat. I don't play the empty seats. I play the people who are there. So the empty seats don't matter to me. The only seats that matter are the ones that are occupied. So because the psychology says to you, there's not very many people, and how am I going to get them to do that? No, you don't even think about that. Just entertain the people that are there in front of you. It makes a difference if there are two. Give them a good show.
I want to get back to, because I've been to your shows. I want to get back to you being aware that this young lady that's screaming her head off for you is with her husband or boyfriend. You are aware
Right.
that he's not digging that.
Right.
He's not liking it.
So
How do you deal with that?
you get his permission.
What? How?
You get his permission.
Very good.
You acknowledge him first. You
Sir?
acknowledge him first. You smile at him. You shake. That's all why you saying. That's all why you saying. Yeah. Hey, what's up, baby? You know what I'm saying? And then you have recognized him. You have acknowledged him as her man.
Yeah.
And
It's like, is this okay?
And you
just
know,
gonna say hi to your girl. I gave him his props. Now he's feeling like $1 million.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay.
You fixed him up for the night.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Because the thing about it is,
Earl.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
That's my man.
That's my man. Yeah, exactly. It's the psychology of it. It's the psychology of the game, because when you do that, not only do you lift up that person, and make them feel good about themselves. Now you got a fan, who don't mind bringing his wife out to see you, and this, that, and the other. Because from the standpoint of a professional entertainer, you're not interested in his woman.
No.
You're not interested in that. You just want to come out here and do a show. But you have to be able to read. You have to be able to read people. You have to be able to read. And there's certain people that you don't read at all. In other words, like if you see somebody that's a complete fool,
Yeah.
You see him, don't you?
you see him. The best thing for you to do is just act like you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are people that I've ignored during the entire show because they, their energy was bad or whatever the case may be, or they want to get up and clown or something. Like for example, the worst thing you can do is have somebody that's really excited in the audience or doing things or saying things and talking about to you is to acknowledge them and in your own way, accidentally egg them on. So you want to be able to
Bring 'em into the
control,
show.
right? You want to be able to control your audience. You want to keep them engaged. And from the time that you get up there to the time that you leave, you want to have them sort of right here so you can ask them to do anything you want,
Right.
or have them participate with you in any way possible.
Right.
And because the whole point is to do a great show.
Right, and fool around there and put a mic in their face, get a sing along.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
man, you made
They
them a
love that.
star.
Oh, yeah.
They're a star
Oh,
now.
yeah.
They're a star.
Oh, yeah, I can take the worst guy in the audience
Yeah.
in the world and make he's a
So we talked about at the very beginning that entertainment, we call it a part of the arts. But you two gentlemen have broken it down to the lowest common denominator, and we know it's a science as well.
Oh yeah.
It's a science. And those of you that know the science of that art form are the ones
It's
that exceed.
Wow.
It's science. It's English.
It's all of it.
It's everything because it's math,
Communication.
It's everything because there's punctuation.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah,
you get
yeah,
that
yeah.
stop,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
pause. Michael Jackson was the greatest. Oh, he was the greatest English teacher in the world
Yeah.
because he knew how to pause. He take up, or snap that head.
Oh yeah.
You see somebody
Yeah.
catapult on stage and stand there for 2 minutes.
Cause Mike,
What?
the way you do these things you do,
Yeah.
dun-dun,
Yeah. Yeah.
dun-dun. Oh my God.
Oh,
Man,
hey.
Mike will have you. He done rope you in
Yeah.
with just being paused.
Just stand
I mean,
there.
just
Or
pause.
just being still.
He got you.
Was that learned,
He
or was
got you.
that something
no,
that
that's
evolved?
innate.
Oh, that's
That's
yeah.
that's-
Yeah, I mean,
and that's some innate
I mean,
stuff.
he was a 10-year-old.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Genius.
prodigy.
That-
Yeah, he was a
He
10-year-old.
would be in the dressing room,
Man.
and they were all the boys. I mean, they were the most humble group of boys.
That's right.
And kind, and just nice. And they would be isolated in a hotel. To your point, because they couldn't go out because people would recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael was, he had to stay in a hotel because he couldn't go anyplace.
Right.
But they'd be in the dressing room and getting ready and relax. And Michael was relaxed. You would think he was getting ready to maybe take a ride or go someplace, not get on a stage.
Mm-hmm.
And when he hit that stage, man, it was like a switch went,
Explosion.
and he became literally electric.
Yeah.
And he controlled that. We were, he got 18, 20,000 people at our arena. That was nothing, man. He turned it on and controlled everything.
And that was Mike's way of letting it all out.
Yeah, that was his world.
That was his world. That's what he.
That's what he
controlled.
loved.
He controlled that part of his life.
Yeah, he was
The
shy
other part-
anywhere else.
Yeah.
Outside, very shy.
Transformation
we were-
happens with entertainers
Oh.
when we go to stage. I remember being at the Desert Inn with the Temptations, and we were all back there before the show eating chicken wings and whatever it was going on there. But when that overture started for them to go out, and they were all dressed and everything, and we were walking from backstage, and I was the last one watching them enter the stage. And as they entered the stage, literally, I could see their body transform
Shut up.
into the Temptations.
know what you're
They were
talking
no
about.
longer Ron and Otis and this, that, and the other. Same way with these guys. As they transformed into the Temptations
Yeah.
right in front of my eyes.
And that was the same thing.
It's like, oh my goodness.
Like you were talking about how
what
with Mike,
happens.
with the Jacksons.
Yeah.
Because all of that pent up I got to stay in my room. I can't go any place. But on that stage,
They were
I can
free.
be me. Yep.
I'm free at last, free at last. Good God Almighty, I'm free at last.
There's a transformation.
That's the feeling.
that happens. I remember in the 90s, in the 80s, actually, it was my first and only time to see Sammy Davis Jr. And Sammy had just had that hip surgery, so he was not moving well at all.
But he was performing.
He was going to perform, and we were backstage talking to him, and he looked really, really frail. I mean, he looked really frail. He looked like he was still in some anxiety or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Having just recently had this hip surgery and was recovering from it. But when that little man walked out on that stage, you would have never known. He walked out, and it was like, oh, that's not the same guy that I was just backstage with. That's Sammy Davis Jr. right there.
Yeah.
And he came out there on that stage, and he did an extraordinary show, killed everybody up, standing up, yelling, screaming, this, that, and the other. And then we went backstage, and as he was walking down the hallway, he looked like that little old man again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was Sammy.
Yeah.
That was Sammy.
It's not like a ball club where after a win, everybody's up and you're cheering and slapping hands. It's very quiet. It's a come down of like,
Yeah,
oh,
come down. That's a
don't,
good
you
term.
don't talk. You don't say, great show. Or, there's no conversation, and you have to understand in that environment to be quiet with them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And when you use that analogy, what causes? Is it because the entertainer is pouring out everything, or did the athletes pour out everything, but they're still jacked up? What is it? What is that phenomenon?
I don't know about
don't
them.
But it is a difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a difference in game face and transformation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because some athletes have that game face on, but
Well, I think that's kind of the same. You put on your game face.
Yeah.
You put on
Yeah.
your I'm ready to perform on
But
stage.
with us,
Yeah.
we're performing.
Right.
Ball players, football players, athletes. Okay. Teams like that. Each one of them get a piece.
Right.
But we're constantly there. What I'm trying to say is like
It's not a shared
it-
responsibility. Individually, you got to be ready to go out there. And do
right, just like Serena.
Right.
Okay, Serena is just Serena.
Yes.
It's just Serena out there doing bang, bang, bang. And after she comes off, she may say hello, and take an interview and that type of thing. But when she get back in the dressing room, she's
Yeah.
okay. And like us, we've excelled. Now it's time for us to come down because we've gotten so high. We've been so high, man.
Yeah. But
we got to
then
come down.
also, if you go to the dressing room, if you're going to have guests,
Oh,
you got 15, 20 minutes
oh,
to get ready to come back, to get back up again.
That meet and greet.
Yeah, the meet and greet. You got to come back up and say, okay, got to put it on again.
Right.
greet.
Yes.
Oh man.
so you have to.
I didn't like when meet and greet came
Yeah,
into
it's-
play.
yeah,
that
it's
meet and
kinda-
greet.
It's
man,
tough.
yeah.
Because you never stop perspiring.
You
know,
man,
you come
beat
off the
up,
stage and you
sweat,
still sweat and
clean up.
yeah, and you go out there and you start sweating again.
Oh.
It's horrible. It's better to do them before the show
If you can.
if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, you really don't want to necessarily be around people before the show because you really kind of need to get your psyche together.
Yeah.
So it's
You gotta really have a passion to be an entertainer, man.
How have you seen
You got-
this venue
Uh-huh.
called Las Vegas? This phenomenon called Las Vegas.
Uh-huh.
In the years that you've worked here,
Uh-huh.
how have you seen this venue change? How has entertainment evolved here, or
Right.
has it?
For African Americans,
Let's specifically for
oh
African
man, for
Americans.
us back in the day,
Yes.
oh my goodness, it was really, really bad. And I give all the props and respect to Sammy Davis Jr., and all of those
all the
brothers
brothers' shoulders we stand on.
kick, who
Dorothy
kick
King was
that,
all-
kick,
yeah.
kick that door in
Yeah.
for us to be able to. When we came along, the door was cracked.
Right.
But when they came along, the door was locked.
They had to go through the back doors.
It was locked. You hear me? So, I'll always give Sammy the props that he deserves for what he did for us, because he wrapped his arms around Gladys Knight and the Pips. And a whole lot of doors opened up for us that wouldn't have opened if Sammy hadn't put his blessing
All of these
on us.
all of these new kids that are coming in, when I say kids, it doesn't matter if they're black or white. All of these new entertainers, do they ever come and seek your advice?
Interesting. Interesting.
Hey, boys to men.
I don't know. Interestingly, I think some will come and watch us do what we do. I don't necessarily know if they actually seek our counsel. Young people generally don't do that.
You,
They
but you
could.
did, though.
Yes, exactly.
But
And
you
that's the
did.
difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, Bubba and I are friends. Not just because we're in the same business, but because I respect what he's done, and I know that all I'm going to do in talking to him is learn. And that's how we succeed in life. If we could get our youth to talk to us. One of the things that I was taught when I was a kid is that my dad would say, "Don't go talk to the bank teller. Talk to the bank manager or the bank president, because he's not intimidated or scared to share his knowledge with you. As a matter of fact, when people are successful, they love to talk about it. Yes. So talk to them. You want help, reach up. Don't reach across. Don't reach behind. Reach up.
With that said, have you two observed some of the younger entertainers step in a hole that they didn't have to go into?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
And you wish you could talk to them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, your kids, that are in show business or
But-
whatever.
who would listen?
That's the question.
That's the question.
Because they don't have
Oh,
history.
No.
See, you guys had history,
Right.
So
Okay, Harold,
so
go ahead.
that history part of it, you had a respect and an appreciation for.
Yes,
the younger
exactly.
generation, I believe, across the board, they don't have the history, so they don't know. They say, "I made it." Wait a minute, but wait a minute. How did you make it?
Right. And they don't have the understanding of sacrifice.
Okay.
I think that
okay.
one of the things that I heard said was that instead of trying to give our kids everything we didn't have, maybe we should have just given them what we did have.
Yeah.
That look,
Oh, say that.
you know what I'm saying?
To the audience now. Say that again.
That
went over my head. Yes, sir.
Let me break that down.
But I know it was profound.
Instead of giving our kids everything we didn't have, perhaps the thought should be give them everything that we did have.
Including the bad stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Give them, and when I say that, give them the ability to reason, give them the ability to rationalize. My dad taught me about racism in a very succinct conversation that we had when I was 13 years old, and I was at an integrated school, and my friend, who was a girl, was sick. Okay, make a long story short, I wanted to go see her. She had mononucleosis, which kids had that. She had mono. And I was out with my dad, and usually you were supposed to be home by the time the lights came on. This was the dusk, so it was getting ready to get dark. And the hospital was in walking distance, half a mile or whatever. And I said to my dad, Dad, I have a friend who's sick, and they're in the hospital, and I'd like to go see him. And he said, well, it's getting dark. Usually you're supposed to be at home, but, so I said, but Dad, I really want to go see him. And I said, suppose it's a girl. And he said, well, that'd be all right. And I said, well, suppose she's white. And he said, what do you think? Now, at that moment, he could have told me white girl was the devil. He could have said anything to me because I am his son, his oldest. He could have said anything. Don't talk to white people. They're not your friends. He could have said anything. But he said to me, what do you think? And I said, well, she's my friend and she's sick. She's in the hospital. And I really like to go see her. And he said, well, I'll see you later. That's how my dad taught me about people and it could have been racism or whatever. He said to me, basically, judge people the way you feel, from what you think.
Yeah.
And make the decision based therein. And I went running off to the hospital to see my friend.
Yeah.
You know?
Mama Knight told us when we were coming up, she said, now, you guys you're playing the South on this supersonic attraction tour. We're gonna allow you guys to go out there and do this tour. This was like B.B. King, Sam, all of those, right? Mm-hmm. Be aware that there are gonna be white people who are not gonna like you, that possibly will do the Emmett Till to you. Okay? And I'm going to tell you a story, but I'm not going to go into the Emmett Till story, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So you got to be aware. You got to be aware of that. But I want you to carry yourselves in a way where you can sing to kings and, be in the in the company of queens and kings and also your brothers and sisters in the ghetto.
There you go.
So you make yourself like that way, and you judge people by the way that they treat you.
Exactly.
Don't be putting a white or black or any of that kind of stuff on it. You just be you and give everybody an opportunity to love and respect you and respect yourself in front of them. You'll get respect back.
Exactly.
Give them respect, they give you respect.
And the thing about it is that what many parents are how they're failing their children is that they're not telling them that truth. From the time I was old enough to understand that I was black, my parents always told me, you know what? You're going to have to work harder. You're not going to be treated fairly. You got to be 10 times more talented. You got to be 10 times more everything.
Yep.
And then you still might not get the break.
Right.
Right. But they told us the truth. And they told us, you know what? You go to college, you get your degree, you're still not necessarily going to be treated fairly. You got to know this going in, so that your heart's not broken. Every time you turn around and you see something happen to you that you feel that you really don't deserve.
Right.
And so consequently, nowadays we give our kids prizes for participating. Well, in life, there's no prize for your participation.
Exactly.
And nobody care if you participate. Yeah, so did everybody else over here. Oh, everybody gets a prize. No, you don't. That's not real life.
What are we teaching? Not doing that.
We don't. We teach them to expect things just because they showed up.
Yes.
And showing up is, yes, that's a big part of it, but it's not the whole thing, particularly if you're a child of color.
Yeah.
And that's the way that's going to be from now until the end of this earth.
Oh, you better.
You know what I'm saying? It has not changed that much.
You better say it, brother.
Really?
You better say it.
And so when we talk about, Black Lives Mattering and systematic racism, that stuff has been there forever.
Yeah.
It's like, what, y'all just now woke?
Yeah, we still got to strive.
We still
gotta
have to
keep going.
strive.
Now, Mama Knight told. Oh no, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I didn't mean to cut
Talk
you off.
about Mama Knight,
But
'cause I met her.
Mama Knight, yeah, you did. Mama Knight taught us. I remember one time I was a little boy, and we went into Cress's department store, 5 and 10, down in Atlanta. There was the colored water and there was the white water.
Yes.
And I'm going like, Ma, what's the difference between the colored water and the white water? Because I thought it was like colors. Like really? I was like green.
Like blue,
Red, green, yellow.
That's your water.
Like a rainbow. Colored water, white water.
Yeah, you was LGBTQ before it even started.
I'm going, man.
Yeah, that's going to be some good water.
And so my mom, she picked me up, because I'm a little fella. She picked me up, and so she turned on the colored water, and she said, now drink. And I drank the colored water. And then she moved me over to the white water. Because, that was...
Right. She
that
wasn't scared. She wasn't scared.
Forbidden. But my mom was teaching me, you got to be able to deal with the whole world.
Right.
Not just the people that are living in our neighborhood.
Right.
And so she put me in the white water, and I drunk it. She said, do you taste the difference? I said, no, ma'am. tastes the same to me. She said, that's how I want you to go out in the world. All right? It's gonna be white water, gonna be black water, gonna be colored bathrooms, gonna be white bathrooms, but you're in entertainment.
But if you did not have that experience from your mother, from her
Mama
wisdom,
night. Yeah.
that those Jim Crow tactics that with the colored water fountain and the white water fountain,
Yeah.
that was just a tactic to reinforce your inferiority
That's
and
it.
their
Right,
superiority.
Exactly.
And if you just kept,
Exactly.
if your mother wouldn't have allowed you to drink and say, it's all the
exactly.
same.
Right. Exactly.
But
Yeah,
there
but
was
see
no playbook
that.
back then.
Right.
As we were comparing, your experiences to today's entertainment, where they didn't have, you didn't have a playbook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know
so
where
you,
you're going
you
at.
had to learn as you went along.
Yes.
Plus that immediate gratification. How many shows did you do at the Apollo and got paid pennies?
Got paid?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, got paid. Yeah, got paid.
You're right.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
y'all get paid?
You're
Yeah.
right.
And some of them today do one concert and make more than you guys make.
Oh my God,
And
yeah.
their whole careers. And
Yeah.
We're in there for a
The
week. I
Beatles
got
make more than-
$76 for
76
7 days.
for 7 days.
7 days, $76 was my cut. $76.
I can remember
And
for
then,
the first.
Mr. Bond came in out. Now, Mr. Bond from the union,
Yeah.
from AGBA. I went upstairs to the dressing room after we had done a show, and I'm tired. And this guy's sitting in our dressing room, Mr. John Bond. I ain't gonna never forget Mr. Bond.
Get his cut.
Yeah, he came up there and said, "Okay, you guys are working here in a union house at the Apollo Theater, so you're gonna have to join the union." And I told Mr. Bond, "I don't want to join the union. I want to keep my $76." He said, "No, you're gonna have to join the union. If you don't join the union tonight, then you ain't going back on that stage.
Uh-oh.
Right. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Cause
Yeah.
we're the union." I'm going like,
Yeah.
"Well, I still don't want to join." But he said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna join."
No
He
choice.
said, "The Apollo and some of the other theaters in the theater circuit, those union houses, you're gonna have to have this card in order to go on that stage."
Right.
I'm going like, I don't,
With all of that said, you two gentlemen have seen an evolution of the audience. You know, when you first started working, it wasn't as diverse, because black people couldn't go on the strip when you were working at the beginning. And I know that you've seen it over the years that you've been here, how diverse the
diverse that
audience.
is. Yeah.
And when I talk about diversity, I'm talking about other people from other countries.
yeah. Oh, it has changed.
And Las Vegas is, to me, and obviously you've been here, you grew up here, but to me, it's one of the more, or probably the most progressive city I've ever lived.
Go ahead.
In my kids grew up in a multiracial. My kids are multiracial, and or biracial, and my kids grew up in a community that, for the most part supports multiracial and biracial and this, that, and the other. There was a brief period of time where we moved to New Orleans and they got a chance to see the flip side
Okay.
of that. And it was a shock to their system.
Oh, okay.
A great shock to their system to see a city with heritage and history where black and white, there is a distinction between the two. Las Vegas has, in the last 30 years, been and has become and still remains a very blended city.
You can go ahead.
So my kids did not have necessarily the experience of the racism that they would have normally faced in a city like New Orleans, for example, or in a city that's steeped in history and segregation and this, that, and the other. But I think that as far as Las Vegas is concerned, it's one of the more progressive and one of I think probably the most just pleasant cities to grow up in. It's kind of people kind of live and let live.
Yeah.
There's not necessarily a lot of discrimination that my kids have experienced. However, they didn't experience it when they were younger, but when they got older. See, I have a black son. I have a son that's my biological son who is who is black and looks black, then I have a son that's biracial who is very light skinned. And they would tell me stories about how when they would try to go to these clubs and whatnot in Las Vegas and how they would be treated totally differently.
Even today.
Even today. Oh, please.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I remember back in the day when in the showrooms, you would have to have a jacket. You talking about evolution? You would have to have a jacket. You couldn't go in the showroom.
yeah.
And this is when they had a dinner show,
Right.
and a late show,
Yep.
a drinking show.
Yeah, and if you didn't have a jacket, and you could go to the valet, the door person, they give you one.
He give you a jacket.
You know, they give you one to wear.
Yeah,
So it's
that
you
was
know,
back then.
Yeah.
but now I mean you go in there with a
not,
t-shirt.
not you can go with shorts and tennis shoes on.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that we couldn't afford to go to the show
No.
by the time.
No,
By the time you
please.
even thought about a ticket,
You're-
and you didn't understand the game,
Yeah.
that you hit that maitre d' with that tip.
With that 20, hit him with that 20.
And you could tell the
Man.
visitors because they would be in line, and the lines going out the door. We went with some friends to see a show, and Tina looked at. She said, "You guys just stay right there." And she went up. She had that $100 bill folded right. Maitre d' said,
Bam.
"Oh, you see our reservation right there?" He said, "Oh yeah, I see it."
Yeah.
Sitting down, you could tell the ones that don't know because they
Right.
go about 5 feet. And the man used to look around and said,
Yeah.
there's plenty of empty seats down there. And he said, you tipping enough. Look at more. Walk another 5 feet.
That's
so
it.
if you
Right.
didn't know the game, you could tell the truth.
Right.
You sit there and just chuckle because people say, "Oh, those empty seats." And he said,
Right.
"Yeah, what not?"
Right,
The other
exactly.
turn, the guy said, "Look, you want to sit up front? You just got to tip the bad."
Right.
That was the day.
Yeah.
Tip the
That was,
man.
that
for
was
sure.
before the corporations came.
Oh yeah,
It
the
took-
corporations
took
have
over.
changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just said something very, something that our audience, the corporate, when Vegas first started, it was started by the boys.
Come on.
Some people call it
About
the
the good old days. Yeah.
the
good old days.
Yeah.
Right. But one thing that the boys would do was they would treat you so good.
Let me tell you.
Corporations,
those-
every department has to make $1.
Yeah.
They didn't give away it. They don't give
No.
away it. You got to
No,
qualify
no,
for
no.
a giveaway.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference.
The model has certainly
Yeah.
changed.
Yes. Back in the day,
Yep.
boy, if you knew somebody, oh man, you'd be, yeah.
And I can remember even 30 years ago, when I came to town in the late 1980s, that you knew the casino operators. You knew the casino president. They were visible. They were visible on the casino floor. They wanted to make sure. And at that time, they were still hiring. At that time, before the big corporations came in, they were still creating shows, developing shows, growing artists in Las Vegas as Las Vegas artists.
Yes.
So you could come to Las Vegas and see things that you couldn't see anywhere else because those people would be specific. They would be Las Vegas artists, like myself.
In a lounge.
Exactly.
They're gone.
A lounge act, so this, that, and the other. Yeah, and so consequently, but those people, they're basically their handshake was their bond. If they gave you their word on something, that's the way it was. Nowadays, they're only. I tell my sons, I tell people all the time, look, because they'll be complaining. Well, I didn't get so and so got paid more than me, and I'm like, look here. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
Yeah.
If it's written in that contract, you get it.
You'll get it.
But if it's not, forget about it. You're not
Don't
gonna get
cry
that.
after the fact.
Don't talk about because I thought you told me I was part of the family. Well, you are. But part of the family that's written in that contract right there.
Come on.
But if it's not written,
That's the business of show.
That's the business of
Show
show.
business.
Yeah.
And so the model in Las Vegas now, instead of it being like, we're going to hire Bubba tonight because he's the greatest entertainer in the world, going to put him in this room, we're going to give him $200,000 a week. We don't care if you sell $200 a week in tickets. You are here because you make our audience, our people feel good. They come out in the casino and they spend thousands upon thousands of dollars. That's the reason why you're here. That's the reason why we paid Wayne Newton $500,000 a week. Wayne Newton could not sell enough tickets in the International Theater, which holds about 1,700 people. He couldn't sell enough $20 tickets to make up for that $500,000 they were paying him. They paid him because he was a great entertainer, did a phenomenal show. People walked out of there feeling good. Let me go spend my money in these slot
Yeah,
machines.
keep them on property.
Nowadays, the model has changed. Nowadays, the model is every square foot has to make $1.
Yeah.
Come on.
Every square foot has to make $1. And they use computers and they use marketing algorithms and platforms and this, that, and the other to figure out. They know when you're walking through that door, because that little card that they gave you that you carry around, when you come through that door, oh, so-and-so, okay, he can spend such and such. He's going to eat dinner in such and such a place. They know all of these things. So now you don't see the casinos that have their own coffee shops. And their own restaurants. Now you got Wolfgang Puck and this, that, and the other, and all these people. Where else in the world? Where else in the world would you find 3 different Gucci stores on the same street? What kind of sense does that make? Where are you going to have one? What's the guy's name from New Orleans? The cook. Everybody. How Emerald going to have 4 different restaurants on the same street? Name me another city where that is possible. Only in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Why do they do that? Because everybody's competing against everybody else. You got emeralds? I'm gonna give me emeralds. Yeah. Oh, you got to. We're not gonna have a coffee shop. We're gonna rent that out to Hash House of Go Go. We're gonna rent that out to International House of Pancakes now because it's corporate. And I remember talking to one of the presidents of Caesars Entertainment, and he had this 20-something-year-old guy with him. And he is the one who does all the marketing. So whatever you do, whatever you spend, if you have that card in a casino, they know who you are and what you do and what your tendencies are. And that's how they market to you specifically. Okay? Just like with the social media, they market to you specifically. Well, they do the same thing in the casino. They know how much money you're probably going to spend when you come through that door.
So if they're doing that with the casino, are they doing that with entertainment?
Yes.
How?
The same way they know the artists that you like to go see, what your musical preferences are, all those types of things.
The level of artists that's going to spend according to that artist.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
He's going to bring in the high roller.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He's going to bring in the dinner crowd.
Right.
You know, he's going to bring in the gamblers.
Right.
Just like when it's fight,
Exactly.
they know what the fight's going to bring.
Right.
They know exactly.
Everything is planned and revenue driven.
Yeah, and revenue driven.
I wanna ask-
Now it's not gaming that is the main source of revenue in Las Vegas anymore.
It's points of sale.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you this. Why do I always hear entertainers say that the national anthem is hard to sing?
Oh, because it is. Because the range of it.
The range of. Oh, so
It's kind of wide, right?
Yeah.
From
It's
it
not
is.
because
from the basement to the penthouse.
I don't.
That's
Yeah, I
the
don't.
national
Have you ever?
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I have, but I don't like it.
How about?
I mean, you
tell me
know,
a place where I know you have sung it, but and when you sing it, you're going to be on national TV here in Vegas, especially if you're at a fight or one of these big. When you sung it to the audience, you know that you're going to have to go from the basement to the cellar, right? What part is that? What part is
of the land
I
of the
hear
free.
that. The land of the free.
The land of the free, and everybody tries to do something there, you know. For the land of the free.
Yeah.
It's that note.
Brave.
Yeah, no. Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
When you going
Right. You start there.
Oh, you starting low.
Yeah, you start. Yeah.
But you got to make sure it's in your.
You got to make sure it's in the key, right? Because you don't.
your key.
Right.
Because
You wanna
that's
get up there.
going to be a catastrophe.
And the thing about it is, unless you're a recording artist, I don't care how many national anthems you sing and for what events you sing them for. Unless you're a national recording artist, you're never going to be seen on television.
Well, yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're in one of those
Yeah,
spots.
yeah.
Like,
Unless, it's
like-
very rare that you see the person who sings the national anthem be anyone except someone of note on television on that broadcast.
Yeah, like my
They
sister
say
just
that.
she did the Super Bowl. What,
Yeah.
2 years ago
Yep. I remember.
The Super Bowl in
Killed it.
Atlanta.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
when we did the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and she also did the Olympics when the Olympics was
Right.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Because we're Atlanta born, and so they look at us like this is our.
Yeah, try and get a local person.
And she is also the
this
Empress
is
of
us.
Soul. So that's, you know.
Yeah, 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 that too.
What do you two gentlemen see the future of entertainment in Las Vegas? Because we keep reinventing ourselves. What do you see? Let's start with you. What do you see? Do you see it? Do you have a feel for it?
The challenge that I have with entertainment is, with entertainment on a whole, is that a show or any type of presentation, particularly musical, because that's what I do. I sincerely believe that it's supposed to change you in some sort of way. It's supposed to change you spiritually or emotionally. You're supposed to feel something. In other words, there's some wonderful, wonderful production shows. You know, for example, the Cirque shows. But there's sensory overload.
Yeah.
When you come out of that show, you don't feel any different. But if you go see, you know, someone who's if you go see Gladys Knight, if you go see, you know, some of the entertainers, you come out and you feel different. You feel better than you did when you went in. The expectation to me is lower. Our young people, our kids, my grandkids, they are used to people lip syncing.
Pyrotechnics.
You know, they're used to people lip syncing. They're used to tracks. Yeah, they're used to tracks.
Is that
It's
It's impersonal.
It's very it's
word.
somewhat impersonal. It lacks emotion.
Yeah.
It lacks feeling.
Right. Because it's sterile.
Yeah, it's sterile.
It's
Exactly.
sterile when you're
Exactly.
doing tracks and stuff. And I remember when we did Don Cornelius Soul. We have been accustomed to singing live. When we did Soul Train, I don't know what you guys know, but Soul Train is all track. I mean, Soul
Lip syncing.
lip syncing.
Right.
It's the Soul Train. And when we did our first, we were the first act on Soul Train, by the way. That's just a note. Anyway, when we did that, it was so odd for us because we were accustomed to singing live.
Right.
Now we got to lip sync to something that we recorded.
Right.
You know,
that's singing.
yeah,
It's hard. Oh yeah, absolutely.
it's hard. 'Cause
Absolutely hard.
That
Absolutely.
feeling, Harold, that you had on that certain note,
Yeah.
Right.
you got to fake it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, you got to make the audience feel like, yeah, you really hit that big bad boy instead of hitting it. You know, but that's different. And a lot of shows now, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of shows do tracks now, don't
Oh yeah, and there's so much production. There's so much
Yeah.
to see, and they've got the visuals, and you know. But for me, one of the greatest shows that I didn't see that everyone raved about was when Garth Brooks did his residency at the Wynn, and all he had was his guitar.
Whoa. Get out.
And
Get out.
blew it
the
away.
reviews blew it away.
Oh my God.
You know?
Now
That's the test. That's the test.
Hold. I got to give y'all something. I just went to see my brother, Earl Turner, at Myron's at the Smith Center. This last show that he did, he reminded me so much of Sammy Davis Jr. Because his brother right here.
No, he's very versatile.
Right.
Extremely versatile.
He got guitar. No, Sammy didn't play guitar. No, I had never seen Sammy do no guitar.
No.
But he put his tap shoes on. For you.
Yeah.
But this brother right here, Earl Turner, and I told him after the show, man, you did a Sammy Davis Jr. tonight. Earl Turner played that guitar. He sung a cappella. He played his guitar song with the guitar, and he went and sat back there on those drums and played drums on
Stevie Wonder song, Superstition.
Looking back on when
is he singing and playing the drum? That's very difficult to do.
Oh my
It
God.
is.
To play the drum and sing.
But I also played the bass too, which is I'm sorry.
I told you. I'm sorry. And he went over there.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The bass on it, boy.
Yeah.
I'm
So
telling you.
you know the thing about what we do,
He remind me so
Where-
much of Sammy. He and Clint Holmes. They,
Where-
where
we come from-
Holmes, man.
where we come from.
Good God.
I'm putting together a master class on showmanship, because where we come from is what happens if the lights go out.
Yeah.
Or the P. I can remember one time, working at the Excalibur, and the PA went out, the system went out. What are you going to do then?
Yeah.
You know, how do you entertain? You know, what are you going to do? Can you talk to the audience? Can you entertain them? Can you pick up an instrument and play? Can you just come all down stage and just sit down with the instruments and just play? I mean, what happens if you don't have the power? What happens if you don't have all the amenities and all the all the fancy stuff? When you strip it down to just that individual like Sammy, you could have done that with Sammy.
Right.
And that's old school, because I remember. Well, you remember James Brown.
Oh, please.
And we went to see James, and he did the same thing. He'd get on the organ, he'd go and get on his drum, but he would do a variety of things. So he was an entertainer.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Right.
and you went to. I mean, we used to get dressed up. Okay,
Yeah.
to the nines.
Please.
You bought a new suit,
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
So, yes, you did. You bought a new suit.
Yeah.
To see James Brown.
Right.
And everybody was dressed.
Right.
And when he came out and he moved around and he was everything, the dance
Yeah.
to the famous flames and even the choreography of
Famous Flames.
try me,
Yeah.
please,
right.
the suitcase. I was at the Shrine Auditorium one year. He had that suitcase, tried me, and walked across the stage, and threw it out, and it went into the orchestra pit. There was a brother dove in the ocean to get that suitcase, and you could hear him go, boom, 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 boom.
Right. That's another thing that I can't do. That's another thing that I cannot do.
What?
I cannot go out on stage to do a show in jeans and a t-shirt.
Oh, you can't.
No, I cannot. I cannot
You know what? I'm trying
do
to
it.
think.
It goes against. Oh man, you are
don't feel like you're in a-
you are too clean when you come out on stage.
I've never seen you
kidding
guys
me?
dressed up and hit. Yeah, we look for that. Every
the rule was you're supposed to look better than your
In the
audience.
marathon, he was in a tuxedo.
I know he was. I'm sure he was.
He was in a
But
tuxedo.
are you kidding me? I'm like, Bubba's always dressed, always clean. Oh yeah,
But during that time, everybody, even in school, I think, but it's talking about the temps and those. They wore the full length main coats coming out when it's cold,
right.
and I mean they came in. It was like, wow, look at that. And they were coming, and
Right.
But it was the clothes, the outfits, the
Right.
synchronization was all
Yeah.
part of the
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
Exactly, and there again, it's a psychological thing. I like when that spotlight hits me when I'm coming out.
Oh yeah.
There's a little you can get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Even if now you might not be very good at all, but doggone it, you look like you're good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you, our manager in the review told me, if you broke when you go out on that stage, look like $1 million.
Come on.
That's what my.
You know what I'm saying?
We made
If you broke,
Yeah.
go out on that stage looking like
Yeah.
$1 million.
And my mom-
You might not have 2 quarters.
Mama Knight told us.
Mm-hmm.
She said, you don't get but one chance to make a first impression.
Come on. That's it.
Mama Knight said.
That's right.
So y'all better.
Yep.
Mo Knight has
Yeah.
a lot of wisdom. Bro.
Yep. Yeah. You gotta.
my
You gotta knock them. You gotta knock them back on their heels a little bit when you come out there.
Yeah.
You need to be clean as the bolt of hell.
Speaking
know?
of a master class, I am so taken aback that these young entertainers are not beating down your door, especially when they come to Vegas.
Maybe,
You know that.
maybe they want to know. I mean, when you jump out there and you got you got a million followers and stuff right
Right.
off the bat,
Right.
and you haven't had to eat the sardine,
Right.
or
Right.
about $25 hot dog and
Right. Right.
and get an appreciation for that,
Right.
and work a whole week for
Right.
$76, and then you have to give 75 of it to the union.
The
man.
union.
And then
But here's what
you got
concerns
left,
me.
You gotta eat. What?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
But here's the
You get
concern.
paid. You get appreciation.
Here's the concern. Over the last 30 or 40 years, we've had a lot of let's just talk about recording artists and groups and whatnot that have gone by the wayside. Okay, we don't hear from them anymore. Those groups that were popular in the '90s, we don't hear from them anymore. Unless they're somewhere in Las Vegas and find them around here. The difference is that I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the things that we learned, the things that we carry with us are things that allow us to be where we are right now, still viable, still worthy of being able to get on a stage. Why? It's because of the things that we know that have enabled us to endure. See, these young people that are coming out, hey, listen, man, you get a hit record, the first thing out, okay, that's going to be good for that moment. But that's not going to last you 30, 40, 50 years. It is just not. Unless you're somebody who's smart, unless you're somebody, like, for example, Clint Holmes our buddy, had one hit in 1972.
Right.
But he has been able to sustain himself over the years. Well, when's the last time you heard of the one in groups from the '90s or one of the rappers or this, that, and the other? These people.
Right. I don't even know.
I mean, you can't think some of these people are non-existent. In terms of the industry, in terms of the career, because what gives you longevity is knowledge of your craft, nurturing that knowledge, growing that knowledge throughout the years, and networking with the people that are in your business. That's what enables us to continue doing what we do is because of the fact that we nurture the most important thing in any business, and that's relationships.
You got it.
And you evolve your originality.
Yeah.
To
Yes.
remain relevant.
You're constantly,
yeah.
you're
That's good,
constantly
Hal.
trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
You're constantly trying to learn and grow because what you've done here is not necessarily going to be.
Take you there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you have to.
And be true to yourself.
Yeah.
The greatest thing an entertainer or anyone can figure out is who they are. Because once you figure out who you are, well, that's you're more than halfway there. Who do I want to be in this business? Who do I want to be in life? What legacy do I want to leave behind? Because those are the things that are important. The thing that I think that for me, that I say about my friend Bubba is this. Aside from all the things that he does, Bubba is an inspiration to anybody that meets him. He's always the same. He's always grateful and will not hesitate to tell you he's grateful for life, for getting up, for being blessed. And that's the legacy I will remember the songs. Of course I will. But what I will remember most is my friend Bubba, who was always inspiring, always feeling good, always wanting to make things better, always wanting to help you out. I can't imagine calling him and him not being there. That's his legacy. And so that's what we have to figure out.
Likewise.
Yeah. And he also, when you meet him, it's like you've known him for 10 years.
Forever.
No, it is, because you
Forever.
engage in each other. Because I can't remember how long we've known each other, but I know from day one, it's like, wow, we grew up together.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've been out there.
Exactly. Exactly. I always tell people it's not so much about the things that we do on stage. It's the things that we do off stage
Okay.
that are really, really, really important. Because those are the things that people are going to remember. I told my wife, I said, listen, if at my memorial service there's a person who wants to speak, but all he can talk about is what a great entertainer I was, don't put him.
Don't put it on the list.
Oh no, he's not on the list.
He didn't know me.
No, he didn't know me.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he can't say one time Earl and I had lunch, or one time we got locked out of a building, or whatever, if he can't talk about me personally, some experience, no, don't put him up there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know me. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you liked what you've heard here today, please subscribe and hit like. And this is just, I have to say this right now. Can we have a part 2 of this? Can we have a part 2 of it? We just now scratching the surface.
We're talking about evolution, but we didn't talk Motown. We didn't talk about how they made their money wasn't off those records. People don't realize that.
That's
You had to
right.
get out on the road to get the
Gotta
money.
get, oh my goodness.
That's
Yes,
the
indeed.
only way.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
it. And that's what because the industry has changed, if I may just interject in there, there was a time when Michael Jackson was the highest paid recording artist in history
Right.
because he got $1 for each album that was sold. So you sold 1,000,000 albums, you sold 1,000,000 albums, you got $1 million. You knew that, right? Nowadays, when you drop that single on Spotify or iTunes or whatever it is, you know what you get? You get paid 0.007 cents
Yeah, that's right.
for every download.
That's right,
For
for
every song,
download.
you get paid a fraction of a penny. You cannot make any money as a recording artist unless you get a major deal
Right.
with which there are maybe a handful of recording companies.
That's right.
Where these artists make their money is off merchandising and live performances. And if you'll notice, the really smart ones, you know what they do? They go get on a television show. Lionel Richie hadn't had a hit record in 30 years, but guess where he is? He's on American Idol.
American Idol.
Well, plus that,
John Legend.
and you're not
Yeah.
talking about royalties.
Oh, yeah.
Royalties go to that. You got to own that publishing.
You gotta own all that.
Come on,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
That's the business side that you
Yeah.
guys can share
Right.
a whole lot on.
Exactly.
Now, over time, people realize, wait a minute, I don't get royalties for what I. No, you didn't write it.
no.
You didn't write it. You didn't own the publishing.
Yeah.
I
And
remember-
the masters.
yeah,
Yes.
the masters.
So the record companies, all of them own the masters,
Right.
Unless you like people like Ray Charles.
Yes. Yeah.
Ray started that.
Yep.
I mean, well, that's where I learned it from.
Yeah.
Ray Charles was having his masters.
Yeah.
CBS.
And
yes.
it was one, yeah, and there's like maybe a handful of
His
artists.
deal was
Right.
better than Sinatra's at
Right.
CBS.
Right.
There
You
you
remember
go.
one time on YouTube,
There you go.
Pharrell, who did the song Happy?
Yeah,
And he
Pharrell.
had hundreds of millions of views of that song on you. He got a $5,000 check.
Oh, shut up! I mean,
That's all right.
You know, I mean,
You just emphasizing yourself.
So the way that the way that the record industry is now, that I mean, it's hard to really even call a record industry because nowadays, if you want to get a record deal or a contract, if you will, you've got to have a social media following. They
That's
want
right.
you to come with tens of thousands of followers on whatever it is, TikTok or whatever whatever Instagram.
Yeah.
They want you to come with already your fan base.
Facebook.
Already. You know, all of that stuff it's just the dynamics and everything. They don't make artists anymore. I'm trying to figure out who the artists are going. Who are going to be the Stevie Wonders of the Paul McCartneys
Right,
of the
right.
future? Who are going to be those people who
Yeah.
are, the symbols of artists?
yeah, I have one that I have hopes for.
Okay.
Bruno Mars.
I think so.
I got hope
I
for
think-
Bruno.
I
hope,
think
I
so.
hope he can carry it. Him and
Yeah.
I hope
Well, he
can
came
carry
from
it on
that.
and carry it
Yeah.
on because
Yeah.
Bruno got a lot of what
Right.
I
He's got-
think what we went through.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
he's got that kind
But I
of.
wonder, I wonder if like for example, there was an artist by the name of Sam Smith that was very, very
We got Sam.
recently. Heard from him like
No.
In a while.
I mean, you
wow.
think about, I think about the artist Her. She's a female Prince. She's a female version of Prince, but she hasn't like crossed over yet. She hasn't made
okay.
that big leap into when you play her song. I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you wonder, but if you notice these artists who are really astute in understanding careers and their business, it does. They're Kelly Clarkson. She's doing a television show now. Started off on American Idol, first one to win American Idol. These people are smart in thinking, you know what, I better diversify because this record thing is fleeting.
You ain't just
Hit records are fleeting. They come and they go.
Well, I really want to thank
Yeah,
you.
you gotta go.
And I'm setting up part two. You gotta go setting up for part two.
Dr. Wright?
Yes.
Dr. Wright?
Listen. I'm gonna take a page out of it. I'm gonna give the wolf a bite. Okay. And keep him hungry. So we're gonna see you on part two.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr.
It was
Turner.
a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Mr.
my
Bubba
pleasure.
Knight, thank you
for
so
the
much. You
invitation.
blessed
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
with so much knowledge.
Thank you,
and,
Mr. Ray.
and things about what we talk about this
Right.
video and so much more. So I'm hoping that Harold can get you one more time.
I got a contract.
I got a contract.